And good morning. 18 degrees this morning. JC?
That's it, just 18. It's going to be like 6 tonight. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Good morning, I'm Jamie Cooper. Thank y'all for getting up with us on a special edition Tuesday morning, Cooper and Company Live. This is Athens in the AM, and join us today, Zack on a Tuesday fills in, and our old buddy, our old director, Mr. Kyle Looney. Roll Tide. Kyle's in here this morning for a special occasion. Frank, Abby, and Brad all here this morning too. Of course, this sports show brought to you by Hometown Market. There's one near you. We'll be over in the Florence area today. You may go by and visit that one over that way. Want to bring, for those of you who don't know, and this happened Friday, it's going to be a little difficult for us to do. We'll talk about that first part of the program today. I am holding, what was that he used to say, from worlds unknown?
I can read your mind.
I can read your mind. I am holding the original one of them, the Swami hat. Our good friend Keith Davis passed away sometime Friday morning. He didn't show up for lunch with us. Of course, that's a picture of Keith way before I knew him. But we're going to be talking about Keith this morning. It's going to be difficult. His funeral is today at 2 o'clock. Is that a microphone in his pocket?
Yep.
But we're going, there's the obit in the Times Daily. I am officiating the funeral along with Miles Stutz.
Why do we all giggle?
A Church of Christ preacher. I know it's hard to say, but our great friend Keith Davis died. We're doing the funeral today at 2 o'clock in Florence. Visitation is at 12 at Elkins Funeral Home on Hermitage. There will be probably a big crowd there. Kyle's in this morning to talk about the time he spent. He probably knew Keith as good as anybody because he had to spend time with him.
I've been to every high school in North Alabama.
And all you coaches out there and girls that play basketball and softball, you know Keith, and he was instrumental in doing a lot of stuff. And we'll talk about it throughout the program this morning. We have some other guests coming in. Harold Wells should be with us. The council met last night. Gloria's got a missionary going to be in here this morning that's with Lindsay Lane Baptist Church. We'll talk about that. A lot of things going on, but yeah, I know it's shocking. I don't know if it's more shocking that Keith passed away or that I'm officiating his funeral, but I'm doing the whole thing. So we're going to try to get through that this afternoon, and we'll have some video. We got Brad put together a video eulogy to Keith. We'll share that with you in just a little bit too. It's also on our Facebook page. Kyle shot all the stuff. Kyle was the Swami's #1 fan. Of course, Kyle's dad is also a Rick Looney. He's worship minister down at Cross Point Church and does a fabulous job down that way. Well, let's get this party started. We got a lot to talk about today. Let me tell you this, though, before we get into it. It's been a rough weekend. I've cried, I've laughed, and I've called Keith an idiot probably 100 times. Dying on me like that.
He didn't do it on purpose.
I don't think he meant to.
But,
This is hard.
yeah, Keith Davis, known as the Swami Diddle, or whatever else y'all might want to call him, has passed away at age 60.
Aww.
And we'll have his funeral today in Florence. It's going to be a little difficult to do, but we will get through it. And thank all you folks this weekend for hitting us up on Facebook and talking about Keith. And Alabama Blues Brother, they did a special tribute to Keith too on their Facebook page. And anybody wants to call or anything, Frank is in there on the phone. You can text Gloria at 603-4848. And my email address is countryrover@gmail.com. All right, let's get it. Hard as it is to believe, yes, that I'm actually going to do this whole funeral, we somehow will get through it. All right, let's get it cracking. Here's Gloria with a cold weather forecast and some school closings.
And not to forget, special thanks to Miles Stutz, pastor that will helping assist today. All right, let's talk about that forecast. 18 degrees out there right now. Yet another cold, windy day. Temperatures aren't going to warm up much today. High temperatures only around 30, and that's a good thing if we reach 30. Low tonight of 12. Tomorrow 32. Yet another cold front moving on in. I know at low temperatures around 15. Plenty of sunshine though the rest of the week. There you go. And they're saying preparations made for the cold and valley facing 3-night chiller. So try to stay warm. Get those fires
we're through one of those chillers.
And don't forget that many schools will be delayed 2 hours today. You've got Decatur City Schools, Morgan County Schools, Lawrence County Schools, Limestone County Schools, Athens City Schools, Hartselle City Schools, Decatur Heritage Christian Academy, and Madison City Schools. So make sure you check before you head out the door.
And a new word that everybody across the country is coming accustomed to, Zack, a warming station. They'll be open tonight at the Beasley Center. So if you don't have a place to stay warm, or you can go spend the night with Zack out at Piney Chapel.
Hey, I got an extra bedroom. Come on, that
You need it. That's
Well, Kyle's good to see you, man. Thanks for coming. Hey, this is on such a bad note here. How's your baby?
She's doing good.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Emma Ryan.
Kyle claimed to fame here, directing our program on his 21st birthday. Zach, Kyle will never be forgotten as the one who spent the night in the studio because Brad was out of town and wanted to make sure nobody,
Nothing messed up.
once I got past the beer
Well,
cans to get in that morning.
Well, I'd already screwed up a few things, though. You know, I'm already getting kind of mad, so.
Now, Kyle is one of the original morons. Zach, I know
love
you
it.
want to get in on that.
It was my favorite parts. I like to be a moron too because I feel like
Well, you already are.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it, Zach. You already are.
Thanks,
Y'all don't
Jay.
know what I have
appreciate
to go through to try to hide those from people. People say, hey, I saw a video of you on YouTube the other day. There's no more. That's the only one that there is.
Yeah.
Whatever one you saw, that's
Well,
it.
what about the one where you doing texting and driving?
He drives like a
that's-
race car, man, I'm telling you.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was a good
I
one.
remember when
was the other
texting
day.
first came out, we got you up here to text, and that's something I believe.
You'd already known how
Our
to- he
friend
mastered
Keith,
it.
he used such an antiquated cell phone, a little bitty thing about this big. He wanted Gloria to change his message because it was the first of the year. I said,
new
Keith,
year."
it doesn't say what year it is on your message.
He wanted me to say the exact same thing I said.
Yeah,
It
but
was
it's a new year. I said, what difference does it make? He never was able to take a picture. He never texted. He never did a selfie.
He never looked at caller ID.
No, he'd just say, in that old grumpy voice, hello. I said, what is wrong with you?
Didn't know how to store numbers in it either. He always took pieces of paper out with numbers on it.
Oh, when he'd get me, we'd meet Keith, when we pulled in the parking lot at Stansfield Friday morning, we knew something was wrong. For the last couple of years, we've had lunch with Keith, every Friday over there. He'd get me all these papers, there'd be numbers written all over them. He never even looked at the front page. He just looked at sports and give me the paper, and that was it. But
it's
but
gonna be
you
nice.
talking about coaches, how many coaches do you figure in the 3 or 4 years you worked with him?
Oh, at least 50. At least 50 in between Limestone and Morgan County. At least. I mean, because you think about it, he didn't care what sport it was, what school it was.
Who it was for.
It could have been girls badminton from Piney Chapel High School or whatever. He would cover it and he would promote it for him.
And he would feel it was as
And
important.
We got some pictures, Brad, we can share, Keith, for those folks that may not know. That's me on the right, Max Russell in the middle. That was back in August, July or August. Whenever was it we shot that?
Late July.
Oh, there with Max. What else we got there, Brad?
Look at the original Swami.
Yeah, you know who that is in that
Lisa
picture?
Greer.
That's Lisa Greer.
I remember her.
Sean
And
Gracie.
she got triplets now, yeah, but her dad's
It still looks like that.
Lynn Greer, represented over in Rogersville.
Yeah.
Tiny.
That's Sean Bracey when he was a lot thinner.
How did Lisa looks the same? Sean, sorry.
Yeah. Look at Keith with that shirt on. That's when
That's
they
not
worked. I think he did a thing called the fifth quarter back then at another TV station.
Well, he used to didn't QLT or something? I used to always listen to him in Florence.
He did
doing
just,
yeah.
just a
Friday
few
night
years
football.
ago.
Yeah.
Star.
That's Keith with the tux on. By the way, I'm wearing a tux today to his funeral because I made him wear that thing for 5 years.
Yeah, and I had to dress him almost
Yeah, he would
daily.
come in. He didn't know how to put it on. He would come in with his jacket on. You'd have to get the bow tie on him, help him button up his shirt.
Zip your pants, Keith.
Well, didn't you dress him pretty much for the last 10 years?
Ever? And if you ever saw Keith, and I know a lot of you people, Coach Creasy and Coach Pugh and all of them know, you never saw him without his pants unzipped. Is that not true? Yeah. I think, kid, zip your pants. It's like raising a kid.
We've got a picture of he's holding Zorro, and you can tell in those. And I said, "There you go." Well, right now, we're telling him zip his pants.
Yeah, I mean, his shirt was always through his zipper.
Bless his heart.
And then Brad says he went to eat, and Keith was known to get on to waitresses a lot in the restaurant. And Brad said he wouldn't do that around us.
we wouldn't let him.
Over at Stanfield's, but he would get in there and,
Just be mean.
yeah, and just say, hey, I'm getting my own tea. I want all y'all to know it.
My favorite part, and like I said, I didn't know Keith as good as y'all, but I feel like I know him because I watched him all the years in Florence and when he was up here with y'all. But I've got land. That's my favorite pickup line. So, women, I got land. That's for Keith right there, bro.
All right, Keith was very instrumental in girls basketball here. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
he's helped
Getting
so
them
many kids get
scholarships.
scholarships. We've heard from so many people this weekend, and Keith. But here's Heather yesterday morning. Heather Haney, legendary athlete, all-state here
First
in
person
Athens,
to interview
teaches
her.
us spinning yesterday. So Dusty didn't make it, but I was there. But anyway, Heather was telling me, she sent me this. She says, I was telling you this morning in class, I remember Keith as the first person ever to interview me on TV. It was for the Lauderdale County Christmas tournament that he started, by the
Yeah.
way. I will never forget our first meeting. Nice, easy to talk to. He loved basketball. Then she said he was a huge supporter and promoter of women's basketball. He loved the game of basketball. He was one of the biggest fans, and he came to see her play all the time. You know, Keith even drove over the other night, all the way over to Hansville to see one of his friends.
You'd always see him. You'd go down to watch, when all the teams went down to the region, down at Wallace
he was there sun up,
Keith
sun down.
Davis was front row, always there.
I can't imagine what these tournaments are going to be like. These people are going. They're going to sit there and say something's missing.
They called us. I mean, immediately when he
That's
wasn't
that's
there,
how they knew something was wrong.
Right. I mean,
called us.
Wallace State. He sat in the same.
Speaking of that, Coach Slater, give him a shout out. He called us the other day. Larry, guy with the mole haircut.
So many coaches have.
He said he's going to try to be there today, but yeah, he called. But as Gloria was talking about, Keith didn't show up for a tournament the other night in Lauderdale County. And immediately people were
Everyone
concerned.
panicked.
That's what they called us and everything. And then the next night,
Thankfully, they did
a moment of silence in Keith's honor for that. So
He was just a staple.
everybody's got a Keith story,
Yeah.
you know.
If he was in a bad mood, you had to tell him, get in a good mood.
Kyle's got one of the best ones. He had the pleasure or displeasure of having to go to SEC Media Days with him. Now,
I remember this.
And they got a Tim Tebow interview. What was it like going down there with him to interview Tim? Or y'all didn't know y'all was going to get it.
No, but before we left, you told him, don't come back without an interview with
Kiddingly.
Tebow. Yeah, and he was freaking out the whole way down there. He said we can't come back without that. And I said, well, he's
How did
going
he
to
say
get
it?
over
Now, give me the voice he said it in.
He said we can't come back without that interview with Tebow. I said, well, he'll just have to get over it because there's going to be a lot of people around this guy.
I think we have that interview. Show
You're
it,
not
Brad.
getting near
Let's see
him.
what you can see. Yeah. Keep our mic.
Trophies winner, Tim Tebow, Florida Gators quarterback. What's the Gators going to do this year?
Well, hopefully do pretty well. We're excited about this season. We're excited about our chances. We've got a lot of great new young guys in, and some of our other young guys have really matured and stepped up. So we're excited about our chances. Working really hard. The chemistry is great on our team. So this season looks pretty good right now. We'll see when camp starts.
Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
When he was outside the men's room, wasn't he?
We-
I don't even know if Tebow had time to dry his hands.
Somehow Keith knew the handler that was dealing with Tebow.
What do you mean handler?
There was not that kind of handler, but there was people that led them around to.
Oh, yeah. They had somebody with them.
Right, and somehow Keith knew that guy. It just turned out, and so that guy standing outside the bathroom waiting on Tebow to get done, and so Keith starts talking to him, and so we seriously just stood outside the men's room. He walked out 2 seconds later. He was like, hey,
As Brad's telling me in my ear here, it's amazing how many people dealt with Keith at one point in their life. We all have Keith stories.
oh yeah.
Thankfully.
And they're all funny, but they're all true, and they're stupid.
I told Coach Pugh, I said, did you hear about Keith? He said, no. I said they got a picture of him wearing an East Limestone shirt, and he said he'd come see me every year, every year he'd come talk to me. And
He even had us go interview Alan Creasy first time we ever met Alan when we was doing a show in Florence, because he got beer, so me and Gloria, she interviews him.
Can you